welcome. I'm Daniel G. Garza, and this is another episode of Put It Together live stream. Welcome to the show. It's a special Tuesday presentation. It is Tuesday, December 19th, 2023, and we're this close to Christmas, and we're almost that close to my birthday. So there's two things you can celebrate this month, Christmas and my birthday. And what are your plans for the year? What are you working on? So shoot us a message. Let us know what's on your holiday plans. We want to welcome everybody who's watching us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and X. Thank you for joining us. If you don't mind sharing this on your page so that other folks can watch along with you, and that way you can comment and share and post. For those of you watching us on YouTube, scroll down, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. It'll let you know every time there's a new episode on the show. And remember, we got horoscopes on Monday, Christian and Daniel on Wednesdays. We've got Put It Together live streams coming back on Saturday mornings. We're moving to a new time in 2024. Put It Together on Saturdays is moving to 10 a.m. Pacific, 11. Yes, let's go with that. 11, 10 Pacific, 1 o'clock. Sorry, 1 o'clock Eastern time. So move your times over. So move those notifications. But make sure you hit that bell so that way you'll know every time there's a new show. Plus, we've got some special episodes coming up this year before the end of the year. Remember, we've got the end of the year horoscopes coming up. So this will be on Friday the 22nd. We've got two episodes. We've got the Spanish edition and the English edition. So make sure you hit that bell. So it'll let you know when those shows start. Plus, on December 26th for my birthday, tradition now, since the lockdown, is to do a live stream show and share with y'all my birthday. We're going to get a cake. We'll talk about the year. And it's a Zoom party. So if you join the Zoom party, I'll be pulling oracle cards for everybody that joins us so that we can send you off to the new year with some good vibes and good juju. So thank you for the people that have joined other years. Come back this year. We had really good time last year talking. And yes, I'm a disclaimer. It's my birthday Zoom party. So we talk about me a lot. So it's about coming on the show and just sharing some stories about what's going on from a year. And some of y'all like to share how we met, try to embarrass me as much as you can. And again, we'll pull some cards and talk about 2024. So all that is coming up. Let me get started because we have a lot to talk about today. On today's show, I am so excited. Justin helps not. Hold on a second. Let me go back up here. Justin Mezetin is our guest today, and I think I just mispronounced his name. Justin helps non-technical experts achieve their goals, streamline their process, and connect to their audiences through technology and marketing consulting. Justin also shares stories of LGBTQ plus individuals who are taking action to make the world a better place in his podcast, Career Changemakers. He also volunteers with SDA Kinship, and outside of those efforts, Justin enjoys connecting with communities, whether playing sports, board games, hanging in hot tubs, and exchanging bad jokes. So we're going to make sure that we get some bad jokes on the air today. So Justin, he's in the green room, so prepare some bad jokes for us while you're back there. Let me go ahead and bring him on the air. And Justin, welcome to the show.
Hello, good to be here. We've been talking about this for a while, and I'm excited and nervous and excited.
We have been prepping this for. I'm gonna admit, like I was on Justin for a while. I'm like, come on the show, and then we scheduled one, or we were tentatively scheduling one, and then I had to travel for work, and it couldn't happen. And I was like, please come on the show. But finally, and then even for today, I was like, I have a meeting. Can we move it over a little bit? And so I appreciate you being so flexible and adjusting to it and finally coming on the show.
I'm glad to be here. I've heard a lot about it, so why not be here and experience it firsthand?
Yes, I'm like one of those weird rides at like those low key carnival. Like you don't know if it's gonna make. Not just kidding. It's a good show. People come on the show. Yeah. For those of you that are always curious, before I get myself into more trouble, I'll just shut up. For those of you that are always curious how I meet my guests, Justin and I are both part of the LGBTQIA2S group on Alignable, and I've talked about Alignable on this show a lot. I have a lot of guests coming from those groups. So if you're interested in being part of the QIA2S group on Alignable or the Latinx business owners page, just go check out alignable.com, get your profile set up, join it. My best description, I say this all the time, Alignable is where the folks from LinkedIn come to party because we have some really good times in the session. So I met Justin hosting one of the meet and greets that we have, and that's how we connected.
Yeah, I never thought about it. It's where folks on LinkedIn go to party. That's a good tagline. That's a really good tagline. It brings everything you need. If you like the party, anyway.
Yeah, but we have a good time I think we have a good time on our meet and greets. For those of you, meet and greets are monthly sessions, meetups that we have online where you get to meet folks from across the country. For us, particularly, it's either in the Latinx community or in the LGBTQIA2S community or allies. So that's good. And anyway, hi, Justin.
Hey.
So we have a lot to talk about. So I'm not even going to keep going. Justin, tell us how you put it together.
You warned me that this would be the first question, and I wanted to come up with an answer, but I didn't. So right now, when I think about how I put it together, it's the end of December, and I do a lot of planning and like looking back and planning forward. So I'm asking myself that question every single day. But right now, I'll talk about the podcast. So I just started, after many months of procrastination, a podcast called Queer Changemakers. And the tagline is, we're here, we're queer, and we're already changing the world. So what got me started into that is a long story, but basically in my marketing business that I've also recently started, I just was interested in hearing more from LGBTQ plus people about what we're already doing in the world. At first, it was for me to figure out how to learn how I might serve people, how I might help, what help is needed. But as I talked to more and more people, it was just like, oh, that's really cool. I don't think I can actually help you from where you are right now, but wow, I'm so glad I asked, because now I heard this new cool story about what you're doing to change the world. And then with everything going on in the US, and I think I recorded my first episode this year back in June, before the Supreme Court let their decision go that said, hey, people can discriminate against you because of their religious beliefs or whatever. And when that court was up, I ran a challenge. And one of the stories I shared was like, look at this. This is why I'm running this challenge for queer entrepreneurs to learn how to do better marketing so we can help build our own economies. Because there are issues like this. And in a way, I was like, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen. And part of me doesn't care. I think I don't want to force someone to work with me, because I don't think either of us would enjoy that experience. That sounds terrible. Now, I caveat that by saying I'm talking about not doctors, not police officers, not officers of the court or government. That's a different case. But in terms of if I ever get married and I need a cake, I don't think I want to go to someone who's forced to serve me. I'd rather go to a queer person who might be a friend, who might be interested in the wedding, who might come and meet one of my single friends and start a long-term relationship. I don't know. So with that background and just talking to different people, seeing how we could serve them, I was like, you know what? Let me start a podcast just to share some of these stories, because they inspire me. And if they inspire me, they can inspire other people. And now I think the podcast has about 11 released episodes. And I don't know how many people listen to them yet, but I do know that every time I've gone back to listen to them, or when I was putting them together, I was like, oh, wow, that was cool. I'm glad I got to meet this person. Yeah, so I put it all together by, I don't know, connecting with people and trying to build and create communities of inspiration. I don't even know if that answered the question, but we can go from there.
Yeah. because I agree with you. First of all, okay, going back to culture, religion, social norms, which is something I talk
Oh,
about a lot when it comes to you and I probably talked about some when it comes to like I do a lot of HIV uh, advocacy work, and I always introduce culture, religion, and social norms because I believe that it makes a big impact in how we receive information that is commonly known to be more part of the gay community. And I'm like, okay, so because it's so linked, we need to break it down to those barriers so we can have a conversation. And I believe that when it comes to uh, queer voices, sometimes we need to break down through those three barriers in order to get our voice out. Because people have
always
assumptions.
happens.
Live TV, folks, live TV. People have assumptions about what being gay is, and they don't realize that our culture, our religion, and our social norms, it's diversity within diversity. That's what I'm trying to get to. Diversity. So a podcast like yours brings out those diverse voices that we need to hear. That's what I was trying to get to. There we go. But yes, it's that's how you put it together. That it does answer the question. Long way to get there, but yes, definitely you're starting your podcast post COVID when a lot of our voices got quiet. To put voices out there is really important. Does that add to you what you're?
It does. It does. And in the episodes I've recorded so far, there've been a diversity of voices, with different thoughts and different ideas, and I appreciate them all because I think one of the first questions I always ask, or one of the last questions, doesn't matter, is what's your vision for like the next step of the LGBTQ plus community? And I love that question because, even if two people are working on the same issue, um, the way they talk about their vision will be different. And it'll be very personal to who they are. And I think if all of us in the queer community have a vision for what it can be, and we share that vision, there's going to be some resonance. There's going to be people like, what? You're doing that? I'm doing this other part. Maybe we should collaborate. Or how can I help? Or what do you need? Because for me personally, I think that like right now, I have a marketing focus and also like a technology focus. But part of me is also like thinking of what's that idea that I would want for myself to be like, okay, cool. I've got marketing strategies and technical and technology foundations. Now I just need this idea, right? This like, here's how here's an idea I see that can change the world. And then bam, I've got this wing, this track and this track, and we can like move forward on that path together.
Yeah.
So I'm always just looking for inspiration, and having conversations. And you mentioned in my bio when you said culture, religion, and social norms. So I grew up Seventh Day Adventist, which is one of the more conservative Christian denominations. We still don't even have women's equality in our church. So when it comes to the LGBTQ issues, we have a lot of work to do. Um, but I do see one of the most common challenges that people have is that they conflate all three of those: culture, religion, and social norms. And they're like, no, I believe the Bible. Therefore, I have to be this way because of culture, and I need to live by these social norms. Um, yeah, so I do a lot of work with, or at least we try to do a lot of work there, trying to educate and connect with people in the church to make it safer for future Justins and future other people like me who've gone through those experiences. And even if they're outside of the church, we still have family, right? It's the holiday season. We have friends. We might have gone to a Adventist college. So even if I'm not fully there, it's not like I'm fully disconnected. Um, and yeah,
Yes.
it's a fun time because sometimes you're able to see success, but also it could be many hard conversations.
And having been raised Catholic, which I still believe in God, and I still believe in some of the traditions that the Catholic Church taught me. I the Catholic guilt is a very real
Yeah.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's times when I still hear my mom's voice. She's been gone for a couple of years, but I still hear like, Diosito te está viendo, God's watching you. And I'm like, oh, I better behave. So can I ask you this? Coming from that background where cultural, social norms, and religion are so wound up together, and now putting your voice out there, what does the push and pull look like in your head?
So what it looks like in the real world is I was in a business networking group and I told them, hey, I'm going to start a podcast called Queer Changemakers because the website was available, the Instagram was available, the Facebook was available. And the next time we met, I told them, yep, I'm working on it. And then my first released episode was might have been in August. And this was in February. So there was the idea and the first steps of making it real. And then 6 months later, actually putting something out there. So that's what it looks like on the outside. On the inside, I think this is a good idea. And then I hear my grandmother's voice and some other voices who are like, really? This is what you're going to put out? Like, there's this idea of would my grandmother want to listen to all these episodes? I would say probably not. And I hear that voice. And sometimes, it takes me a lot longer to release an episode because there's that voice and other voices that sort of pull me back. That are like, I don't know, Justin, maybe you should have been shorter there. Maybe you should say less ums. So many ums. Maybe you should be more focused in your questions and not let it go all directions. But yeah, at the end of the day, my first episode was a pilot episode and said this is going to be a pilot season. So that's my way of giving myself permission to learn. Yes, learn, not fail, but learn through the ums.
As somebody who's been in this business now almost 18 years, uh, it takes a little work to get to where you stop questioning if what you've put out has any worth or did it make sense, or because self-criticism is so harsh. And I do believe, going back to the connections, I do believe that a lot of my religious background has to do a lot with my professional background. The way that, like, not my background, the way that I work professionally,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you've got to be perfect. Everything's got to be great. And if it's not at that level, then why are you even doing it? And then I hear my dad's voice in my head, and like, complete
Yeah,
explosion. Does
yeah.
that make sense?
I mean, complete perfect sense. Like my background professionally and still now is software development, which is great because you can get semi-immediate feedback if something doesn't work, right? If I click a button and it's supposed to do something and it doesn't do it, I know it's wrong and there's a way to fix it so that it does it. So in a way, like, it's not perfect, but you get that feedback that's immediate and I know when I'm wrong. So I can say, yes, my software is perfect enough. But when it comes to sort of marketing and talking to people and with the podcast, it's like, I don't know, these are people, right? It comes to like jokes, right? I can tell a joke and I think it's super funny, but the next person is like, no, I'm not gonna laugh at that. So it's hard because I so often procrastinate / deal with perfectionism because I look at something and I'm like, this isn't as perfect as these people who have full teams and have been doing this for decades and have a much bigger budget supporting them.
We have no budget here. We work on tacos and dreams. But let
Tacos
me
and dreams. I want to.
that should be
That's
on a
that's a
t-shirt
book
now.
or something.
Let me ask you this question because we are connecting now the podcast,
Hmm.
um, uh, Career Changemakers, and as a business consultant, let me ask you. I don't think I've ever asked this question to a business consultant. Is there such a difference between mainstream businesses and a queer-owned business? Because we talked to, and what do you think
I
about? Oh, go ahead, go ahead. If you have an
I
answer.
will say it's hard because I'm a very like, well, I like to see all perspectives. So when you say mainstream versus queer, I'm like, okay, there are many definitions for both of those words.
Okay,
So if I were to say, so when I think mainstream, that immediately makes me think of the brands we all know. The famous people, the famous brands, the Apples, the Coca-Colas, the blah blah blah. And then queer people who I tend to see as more small businesses, solopreneurs. And I think there is a difference because, for better or worse, I think of Bud Light and their Pride controversy, who was like,
okay,
"Hey, we sent you this can of Bud Light with your face on it because we're celebrating you." And because she posted that and she was trans, they had all this blowback from the rest of society. Lies. They had all this blowback from a small vocal minority who just got loud about it and angry about it and riled up other people about it. So that's them, right? However, there is a brand I think called Gay Water, which I think is just like a vodka soda in with branding, and they have taken off because they were able to say, yeah, we're going double down on our queerness, and we're starting a business. We have this product, and we are all about the queer people, and they have grown way more than Bud Light has lost percentage wise, because they were able to like be themselves and cater to a small market and say, no, we're going to be unapologetically queer forward. So there is a difference. There is a difference. Um, yeah, there is a difference. You have more as queer people, as openly queer people, we can hold on to that truth and actually have that empower us. Right? Because I feel like a big brand, they have to be for everybody in different ways. But as queer people, we can say, no, we have a queer flag up, and we can double down in that direction. And if somebody comes to us and like, why are you so queer? Like, well, you saw my flag. There's other people. Go for it. If you don't, go for it.
yeah,
Yeah.
because we started to talk some of the stuff that you said just at the beginning of the show, and but yes, oh, when I walk into a business as a gay Latino man, and sometimes people forget that
Mhm.
before they see the gay, they see the Latino, and they see and that's already. And for anybody out there, like, yes, in a perfect world, we would not distinguish people when they walk into a business. Uh, we would not, but we do not live in that perfect world. We live in this world, and in this world, we those of us that can see, we do see and have a perspective. We have a preconceived judgment of things, and so when I walk into a business, I am seen as a Latino man, and then people automatically make an assumption: either he speaks Spanish or he doesn't, and if he
Mhm.
does, then was he raised here or not? And if he doesn't, where is he from? And then if he's not, is he legal? Does he have documents? And so the gay part is kind of a couple of steps behind all that. But if I walk into a business and I automatically notice that the moment I walk in, there's what are you doing here? And we've all, well, maybe not everybody
Yeah.
watching the show has had that look, but if you look like me, you know the look.
Or me. Or me.
You know the look of,
Yeah.
what are you doing in here? And it's like, I just grab my soda and my chips and I walk out the door. Would I want to come back to do more business with them? No. Why would I put myself in that? Now, is it a fight that we need to have? I think some people are up for the fight. I personally, this is my fight. I put up a show, but what you're saying now is like, here's my flag. Like we're open. Like the moment you walk in, you know what you're walking into, and I think that works both ways. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I think it definitely does, and I guess it also works for those who choose to be allies, and those who choose not to be allies. Right? Like I would much rather, being from the East Coast and living in a city, I would much rather look at a full city block of different stores, and some have pride flags and some choose to not have a pride flag. I can go support the one that has the pride flag because I think they support me. And if I walk in there, I think I will be treated better. It doesn't mean the other ones won't. It just means they did not do that extra step. And as a human person who's Black, who's lives in America, I don't. There are some places where I feel unsafe, and many experiences of other people from my communities who have experienced violence. So I'm trying to keep myself safe, number one, because there's no point to. I'm trying to keep myself safe, number one.
Yeah.
Because I want to make the world a better place, and also I want to laugh at jokes. I want to find a hot tub party. I want to enjoy the seasons just like everybody else. And sometimes the last thing I want to do is try to educate someone on how to be nice to me, when I can just be nice to myself and keep walking.
I got you. So we're almost at the halfway point of the show, folks. For those of you joining us, I am talking to business consultant and host Justin Mezetin. We are talking. Am I saying that right?
You did say right that time. That time is
right. I keep wanting Mezetin. I keep wanting to say Mezetin, but Mezetin. Got it. Okay.
Roll off the
Also, I want to invite you to, if you're following us on any of the social media pages, you'll know that I've started a new series called National Days, or hashtag Daniel's Days, where I just go one day at a time telling you what we're celebrating that day. And for those of you who don't know, I'm going to show you what we're celebrating today. So here is the video. National Hard Candy Day is December 19th. It's a day to celebrate all things hard candy, from classic lollipop suckers to the nostalgic crunch of jawbreakers. Pop open a pack of your favorite hard candies, whether it's the sweet tang of lemon drops, the smooth mintiness of Andes Mints, or the fruity burst of Skittles. Start whipping up a batch of homemade hard candies and spread the hard candy cheer by hosting a tasting party with friends and family. Did you know that hard candies have been around for centuries? The first hard candies were likely made in the Middle East and were used as medicine. So visit your local candy store and check out their selection of hard candies. Remember to have fun and enjoy the sweet taste of your favorite candy. I'm Daniel G. Garza, and thank you for listening. So make sure you get your candies today, and follow me on all of my social media pages for a daily dose of Daniel's Days, which leads me to the next segment, which is talking about your podcast. You mentioned a little bit like what wanted to start in. This is your pilot season. I believe that we have that gut feeling. There's that instinct that kicks in that says, this is something I want to do. And adding to what we're just talking about, what is our role in the fight? Do you consider this part of like your role in the fight for equal and diversity?
It is, yeah. It's definitely part of the role. I do think that, especially in the marketing direction, the whole goal is to help people know that these businesses or other people need help. If there's a business out there that makes websites, how can they reach out to more people to make more websites that help people promote whatever their website's about? So I think one side is, yes, I want to help queer entrepreneurs succeed so that they have the resources, we have a better economy, we're able to support ourselves because, depending on where we live, the governments are either Some are cool with us. Many are ambivalent, and there are some that are just proactively wanting to be mean. There are a couple of states, Florida, Texas, that happen to be just, let's make laws that are against you for no good reason, just to, I don't know why. But I think if our businesses are successful, if we have more resources, we can then have more to donate to some of the nonprofits who are on the front lines, some of the people who are doing the advocacy work in those state houses, and like able to take care of those in our community who may not have access to other places. So,
We'll come back to that one. I'm setting up. I should have set that up before the show started. Talk about technical issues, but I'm going to show just a little bit of your. It's on YouTube and it's on your website. But we do have a question on the board for you.
yeah.
Do you feel that a gay-owned business that identifies as such, could be detrimental to receiving a grant? Should said company only identify as minority-owned instead? 2 questions there for you.
Awesome. I will. Do I feel that a gay could be detrimental to receiving a grant? Honestly, yes. There are conservative think tanks and foundations who are probably anti-LGBTQ plus. And if you identify as gay, they might say, you know what, we don't agree with that part of your business, so we're not going to give you money. But I think every grant funding agency, every grant funding organization has some list of values. There are people behind that. And if your queer identity is a value that grant funding agency doesn't support, you might be putting yourself at risk of not receiving that. But there are also specific funding agencies that might be going towards a queer-owned establishment. I don't like the word should, so you can decide what is happening. And yes, there are some times when maybe climate change or voting in a way, or certain big issues where you might want to put our queer identities a little bit behind because there's something happening that's super present. But I do think that, this is you and your business and how you engage with the world. So you get to decide whether the risk is worth it or not. And then should a company only identify as minority owned instead? It depends. I've never received a grant or handed out grants. I think that if there's a establishment who is proactively anti-queer, and they find your website, or they look you up on LinkedIn or online, and they see that you are queer owned, and that if that's a sticking point for them, they probably won't let you, even though you just said minority owned. So I think at the end of the day, the best part, or complicated and best part about having a business, is you get to decide how you want that business to show up in the world. And yeah, there's many of us are outside of the closet, and some of us do not want to go back into the closet because of just to work with a specific client. That might be a hard experience that we don't want to redo. So I'm not fully sure if that answered your question, but that's my answer.
I think as you're talking, I'm thinking, yeah, wouldn't you? I now, after talking to you, for any grants or any applications, I would want to go back and find out who, like, the parent company is, what state they're located in, what their affiliations are, because that could determine how I complete.
Yeah, it should. Like, marketing, one of the most important things, always know your audience. So even whether you're marketing to people or a company, know who you're there, so you know how to talk to them. And I guess the other thing too, the one caveat to that I would say is, I have to pay my bills. So if someone who I disagree with is going to give me money and I get to spend it in a way that I still see as fit, I still see they are not telling me I have to like say something I disagree with, I will take their money, right? Like, why not? I'll gladly take some badly created money and then use it for good, instead of being like, no, give that to someone else who's going to do harm in the world. I think I would spend their money better than they would.
Definitely. We're going to show you just a couple of seconds of the, this is the introduction episode.
Yeah.
To make sure I just subscribed. I had not subscribed.
We're here, we're queer, and we're going to keep changing the world. Welcome to the Queer Changemakers podcast, where each episode will be interviewing a different LGBTQ plus individual who is out there taking action to make our communities and world a better place.
I like that. I just wanted to show that first little part because I saw that in the preview. I'm like, I like that first part. It's like just how can I say this? I dislike this question when people ask me that, but it's part of the traditional questions he ask. What would you like people to take away from your show?
One, I want them to be inspired by the diversity within our community. So just knowing that we have people in Berlin who are helping businesses become more trans inclusive and develop policies, and helping people. So there's that. There are people who are helping businesses get started. There are people who help gay men overcome shame around their bodies and sex. There are people who can help you write a book and bring yourself out and share that message with the world. There are people who work with data and can think of how can we make data more inclusive as queer people, right? So there's a lot of different stories out there in different ways that we can be part of the fight, we can support. But also, I think if you, me, other people see some of the issues that they have in our communities, experience certain the ups and downs, that hey, you don't have to stay there, right? You can make a change, you can take action and just get started. And or if some of these people are doing things, you can join them, right? You can say, hey, how can I support you? Like not everyone can talk about the different issues that you're talking about, Daniel, but if they hear you talking about it, they can say, hey, what can I do to support, right? What do you need? So I'm just trying to think of how I would love people to listen to the episodes and to think, next time I see someone who's trans, maybe this isn't their story, but maybe it'll let me understand them a little more. Next time I see a problem in my community, maybe I can do one little thing to like help make a difference. Yeah, that's what I want to see.
Gotcha.
Or maybe, maybe I do want to start that business to help a certain part of our community improve. That's my goal. My goal is all of us have take it back. All LGBTQ plus people and not have experiences in our communities. So that one question I ask everyone, what's your vision for the next phase of our greater LGBTQ community? Everyone can ask that. And if you want to, you can take off LGBTQ, but just think of our community as a whole and say, what's one thing that I would love to see in our community? Because imagine if everyone said that and just put that out there. I think it can really change the conversation.
I think that's a really good segment for the next question that's on the board. Should the said business then clean, this is such a quotation marks, their social media, which is something you just said is like, there is a level, and I'm not answering the question for you, but there's a level of responsibility that I have as a business owner to my community and then to the different boxes that I fit into. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. Like, That's something you're saying. Like, it's not just about we're all gay, let's be gay. It's like I'm also responsible to put something out for the Latino community, for the HIV community, for the cancer survivors. Like, there's different groups that I fit into, and I don't want to just be boxed into one. Anyway, but I'll let you answer the question on the board.
Should the said business clean their social media? I love how the word clean is in quotes, because I would say Yes, but also what does clean mean? I know one of my guests, Mike Iamelli, he does like relationship coaching and helping gay men specifically overcome shame and learn their sensitivities and see how that can be their superpower. And his social media, he tries to post thirst traps on purpose. And then he talks about how when I first saw these, I was like, that's cool, but how could people just post that online? And then when he started doing it, it was like, I don't feel as sexy as the pictures look. I'm not even doing it for this. I'm married. And like, this is not even about who I am. But by him posting that and writing a story and sharing it in a way that shares his own journey, it brings context to that. So if your social media has you taking a bunch of shots at the bar, and you are, I don't even know, and you're trying to I don't know. You're trying to be a kindergarten teacher. Maybe not. Maybe you should clean that part out. But if your social media has you taking shots at the bar, and you are an AA leader, mentor, person, that's even harder, right? Because you might want to let people know this is how I used to be, and here's where I am now.
Yeah.
So like,
there has to be an intention behind our
yeah,
words, right? Is that
yeah. I think that's the thing. Like being intentional. So yeah, being intentional, and sometimes once something's online, it's always online. So if you get rid of certain complicated, you might have to. Okay, you get to decide, but I would say you may want to preemptively talk about your growth, so that if it does ever come back and you're running for president 5-10 years in the future or something, um, no one's going to be like, look at this tweet we found back then, right? And then you're going to have to respond to that. You can just say, here's me being honest and open and integrity. And as every human, we get to grow, we get to learn, we get to build on our mistakes, and create the future we want.
and that is really because I'm 53. When I was in my 20s, there was no social media, and unless somebody took a picture of you doing something, there was no proof. And let me just say, God bless, because I was pretty wild in my 20s. But most people would not believe that the spiritual coach that I am now came from that. But it is a level of growth. But taken out of context, things can affect your business, whether you are an LGBTQIA2S business or a cisgender open. Well, I don't know what word we would use. They're not just straight businesses. They're just businesses. We kind of sometimes. Do you ever feel that? I feel like sometimes we put ourselves aside of it, and then we wonder why we're not part of the main.
Does
that make sense?
It's in between, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I do think that there is a difference, and just because for now my podcast is only for LGBTQ plus guests, but I do think that for many businesses, there are lots of people who do what you do. There are lots of people who can also reach out. So when it comes to promoting your business, it's what really makes you different. And if you say, oh, I'm just like everybody else, then why might someone choose to work with you specifically? So even if it's not about being queer, right, you can still have specific values and an identity that you want to promote as your business, as your brand, so that when people think, hey, I want this service, they're going to be like, that person, because they're funny and excitable and just a good person, right? They care about the Latin community. They care about these other causes. They know what day, every day is a holiday to them. So if I'm working with them over time, every day I'm going to learn something new, right? So like, you get to decide how you want, who you are and how you want your business to be, and then you get to live that out so that it aligns, so that no one's confused.
Gotcha. So we're 45 minutes into the show. I know it went fast. I just feel like this is a taco and coffee conversation. Like I feel like we're just tapping into little parts of it. But this is the part of the show where we ask our guest to share some words of wisdom with our audience. So, Justin Mezetin, what are your words of wisdom?
Wow, words of wisdom. I ask people this question and I don't even have something yet. So I'm just gonna choose something that I heard earlier today. I think it was Henry Ford said it. Whether you think you can or can't, you're right. Yeah. Actually, I'm going to change that. Undo, my bad. No, so the one that I really want to say, because it's hard for me to learn and put into practice, but everyone is doing the best they can with what they have. And that includes you, which includes me. So there were many times when I'm like, oh, I should have done this. I should have done that. I should have blah, 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 right? Like that perfectionism again. And I really don't like looking at that statement because I'm like, but no, I went too fast. I should have slowed down. It's a hard lesson to learn, and but one that I think will help me be more compassionate to others and hopefully also to myself.
That word of wisdom has not been more true than it is since I turned 50. That's like, hey, I did the best that I could with what I had. And there were moments in my life where all I had was rock bottom. Yeah. And you do what you can. So yes, definitely. I showed your website there for a second, but I want to make sure that people see it again. So what can you walk us through what we're seeing?
Okay, Queer Changemakers. It's just the podcast website. So you can see all of the released episodes there. You see my intro video. That's just a couple minutes of why I started this podcast, where I came from. You can tell that it was done from the same vantage point. Yeah. Again, pilot season. Wait till season 4. I'm gonna have like all of the lights and dazzles and glitter. So talks about the goals. Talks about a little bit. There's a quote there from Tammy Baldwin about how we are making history as being open queer people. Just a little information about it. But the podcast is also on all the major podcast platforms. So Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, however long that's available, Amazon. Yeah, and that's a little bit about me. Because at the end of the day, yeah, this has been a journey for myself. When you played that video, I was like, oh no, I'm supposed to put things out. I don't want to see how people watch it. But it's part of me learning to grow and, you know, love myself throughout the journey, which is sometimes hard.
And for those of you that are watching this, if you'd like to be a guest on this podcast, there's a link there.
Yeah.
Go check it out.
The only thing you have to be is an LGBTQ plus identifying individual, and you have to be doing something in the world to make it better. So I think we all are, even if it just means I am living my truth every day. You know, I am having conversations with people who may disagree with me. There's a lot that you can do. Yeah. So that may or may not be my Instagram. I don't think it has the underscores, but I could be wrong. But yeah.
Oh no, this isn't you.
Yeah.
My bad, folks.
All is well. All is well. All is well. But yeah, so if you take off those underscores, it'll be perfect.
Here you are, Justin. Sorry, folks. Let me get the right one. Now I'm following you. They're also an LGBT page, but not the right page.
Yeah, I think I might have gotten it first.
But yeah, go follow them too and support other
queer change makers. Right?
Yeah.
Like, why not? We're all in this together.
Here is Justin's. There we go.
Yeah, I think also at the end of the day, right? I think there's more than enough for all of us. I think the world is abundant and there are lots of opportunities there. And I don't know what those people do, but I will be following them and reaching out to be like, hey, what's this about?
Yeah. Go check him out. Go follow him. There is his Instagram. Go check him out at the webpage. Sign up. Listen to the shows. Now that I have the link, I'm going to go in there and listen to it while I'm working later. We're at 10 minutes till. Is there anything that I forgot to ask you that you'd like to share with us?
Probably. Definitely. Definitely. Like I have some family stories, but we mentioned SDA Kinship, and you mentioned the idea of culture, religion, and social norms. So I always have to promote them because they are a nonprofit who've been around. I serve on the board, and it can be a lot of hard work. So one little story. We had
What was the name of the organization?
SDA Kinship. So SDAkinship.org is our official website, and that's our name on most of the social medias. It's a lot of hard work. And us as board members are all volunteers, trying to do what we can. And when I think about culture, religion, and social norms, quick story. Earlier this year, there was an Adventist university that had a theological summit about LGBTQ plus issues. And it was streamed online and had in person. And there was a really ignorant question that the moderator asked. And then everybody on the panel, queer or not, was like, hey, I don't like the way you said this. Here's a better way to say that. And the moderator said, I wanted to take a question from the online audience. And this was the closest thing to a question that I could say in my own integrity and while being here. So sorry about that, but also it was online and comments, and you know how online comments are. I told that to a family member of mine, and I was like, yeah, those Christians, they were in the comments showing how Christian they are. And when you read those comments, they don't sound super Christian. Well, they don't sound what Christians say they are. And then the response I got back was, why is it on Christians to be so loving? Like, why is it on them to be more loving? And my brain broke a little bit because I was like, what? Why should Christians be the ones who love? I thought that was your whole thing, right? Like you chose the book that you always talk about, literally, like you chose that. But that told me, like, for this family member who loves me and is like not a bad person, there is this just like, you know, thing like in a car, blind spot. There's this blind spot that's just there because of the social norms and the culture and some of the influence of religion that I can be asked that question. And the person who asked me had no dissonance at all. They're like, this is a really good question to ask. Why should Christians be the ones who are loving? So I think, wow, I want to talk about kinship, but part of it is just, there's a lot of hard work in this space, in a lot of the advocacy organizations and other places. And my hope is that we are able to take care of ourselves and still do some of that work and know that we can support people who are doing that work too. Because that is a hard question for me to hear from a family member. And there are people who are doing this and get so much worse, right? It just gets so much worse. And I don't know why people have this strong meanness about them. But yeah, so whether people are building bridges to Christian communities or Latin communities or any communities, it's a lot of work. It can be hard, and we need to take care of ourselves, take care of each other, share our stories. Because, you know, after that moment, it was like, I need to hang out with some queer people right now. I hang out with some chosen family just to like let it go and remember that, you know, we're all doing the best we can. And I guess there was one question you haven't asked me that you said you would, and it was about jokes. So I'll share one if you want to share one.
No, this is your episode.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
I say funny jokes all the time, so this is your moment.
Whew, which is a good one to share in this context. What? Okay, two. I'm gonna show the stupid one, the easy one first. So two guys walk into a bar. The third one ducks.
Two guys walk into the bar.
Yeah, two
The
guys
third
walk
one-
into a bar. The third one ducks. Another way to tell that joke is two guys walk into a bar. Ouch. I have a lot of nieces and nephews, so I need like easy things that just make sense. And I love that one because it's a good little setup. It's stupid. Yeah. So I guess I can share a stupid, even worse joke. So this is a picture of my boyfriend's dog. His name is Moonlight. So this is a joke in honor of Moonlight, the dog. What did Moonlight take to doggy daycare for show and tell?
I don't know.
His butt.
With that, folks, we've come to the end of the episode.
Anyway, I'm gonna go responsibility.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Justin, thank you so much for coming on the show. So appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. This moved way faster than I assumed.
I tell folks, like, folks can get like an hour, and I'm like, don't worry, it goes by really quick. Again, for those of you that would like to connect with us more, just come and check out Alignable. Come hang out with us there. Set up your profile, and then join one of the groups. I'm in the co-admin for the LGBTQ IA2S and the Latinx business owners. So come join us, and you can meet Justin there and be part of the groups. Justin, I'm gonna put you in the green room for a second while I say goodbye to everybody. But so appreciate you, and I will talk to you in just a bit.
Bye, everyone.
For everybody watching, thank you again for joining us on this special episode of Put It Together live stream. Remember, if you're looking for a gift, we've got the Grumpy Bunny books, English and Spanish, $25 signed and delivered. And you can find them also at the Awakening stores in Laguna Hills and Costa Mesa here in Southern California, or at Village Well Books and Coffee in Culver City. Go by there, check them out if you're available, and ask for them. Also, if you're looking for coaching, transpersonal coaching, we identify, acknowledge, and remove barriers. We've got one-on-ones, groups, team buildings. Email me at danielggarza@littlemexicanproductions.com. Remember, Christian, my partner Christian for Christian and Daniel Show, also has his practice, spiritual coaching and mediumship work. So if you're interested in any of that, let us know. Check out Professional Intuitive Services by Richard Wayne Kilgo II, my co-host from Zodiacs. Check him out at the Laguna Hills office of Awakenings at 949-457-0797, or find him at rwk2.com for more information. He's got an amazing sound bath sessions here in Orange County, so check that out. For now, I want to thank Justin for joining us and all his good information. Thank you for being part of the show. Remember, we're going to be away. I'm going to be away. No shows until January the 6th. We're going to come back with Kevin Quoto, who is my co-admin from the LGBTQIA2S group on Alignable. See, I get a lot of people from Alignable. So he's going to be my co-host starting February 6th. So I'm going to be off the air for the next several weeks. But thank you so much. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Feliz Navidad. Happy New Year, and all the best. Stay tuned for my December 22nd shows and for my birthday on December 26th, a special episode of that. Thank you so much, folks. We'll talk to you soon. And hey, put it together. Bye-bye.